welcome back to the channel. My name is Robin and this is Only the Best Fantasy. Today I wanted to talk about fantasy books that are being released in 2024 that I'm most excited for. My list is only going to cover the first half of the year, so anything being released within the months of January to June. I'm doing it this way mainly because there's not there's not quite enough information from me at least regarding releases coming out after that time frame. Anything July and beyond, like we don't have, in most cases we don't have cover art, nothing of that sort. We may just have a title, maybe a small blurb. It seems to make more sense to just make another video later on in the year covering that half of the year. So here are my top picks for books that are being released in 2024. A lot of these are sequels to series that I've read, I'm reading, or I've at least read the first book of. A few of them are going to be new to me, and in I think at least one case there's a debut author that seems pretty interesting. So without further ado, here is my list. And by the way, this is going to be in order of release date. So number 1 is Amelie Wenzel's Dark Star Burning Ash Falls White. This should actually be out already by the time this video is released. I'm excited to see how this story continues, as I read and enjoyed Song of Silver Flame like night in 2023. I don't typically go for YA much these days, but this was a buddy read with a cousin and it wasn't too bad. It was good enough that I'm excited. I'm interested to see where it goes from there. I like the concept of how it handles the deities in this world, and there's a few other things going on that I really like how the author's handling it. If you want to find out more, feel free to look into that book. But yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 is David Dalglish's The Slain Divine. This is the third and final book in his Vagrant God series, and the first two were rip-roaring, action-packed books. I really like I really like how he handles his pacing. I really like how he's handling the gods in his world, and yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how the story wraps up. Should be a fun ride. My next pick is Heather Fawcett's upcoming sequel to her 2023 release, and that's Emily Wells' Map of the Other Lands. Now, this is a sequel to Emily Wells' Encyclopedia of Fairies, which was one of my favorite books of 2023. Like, I'm a real sucker for the whole anthropological approach to fantasy, so I'm hoping that the sequel lives up to the enjoyment that I got out of the first book. Moving on up, the fourth book on my list of anticipated releases is Robert Jackson Bennett's The Tainted Cup. I've been a fan of his since I read the Divine Cities trilogy. Unfortunately, I never got around to reading the Founders trilogy, which he wrote after. I should probably read that this year. But I'm trying to get back on the bandwagon with his releases with The Tainted Cup. So let's see where that goes. Number 5 on my list is a novel set in the world of The Legend of the Five Rings, and that's Marie Brennan's The Market of 100 Fortunes. This is going to be her third and final novel in the 100 series of L5R novels, and I really enjoyed the first two, which was the Game of 100 Candles and the Night Parade of 100 Demons. So I'm excited to see how she wraps up the story of this particular dynamic duo. We left them off in a pretty interesting place, so should make for some interesting reading. Number 6 is actually, I believe it's a debut author, and that is Eliza Chan, Fathom Folk. I don't know too much about this book, but I saw an absolutely gorgeous cover art, and the blurb seemed interesting, so that was good enough for me to pre-order it. Let's see how that goes. I'll probably post a video discussing it after I read it. Number 7 is Peter V. Brett's The Hidden Queen. This is a sequel to his first novel in his new saga, the Nightfall saga. This is a sequel to The Desert Prince. The Desert Prince left us in a pretty interesting place with a new cast of characters, and it also shows us how things have progressed since the events of his demon cycle. So I'm interested to see what happens in The Hidden Queen, and if you're a fan of the series, you understand what a hidden queen could potentially mean in this case. So yeah, I've got fairly high expectations for this one. Let's see how that plays out. Next up on the list is actually a book I've been waiting on for maybe 2 years, 3 years now, quite a while now at least, and that is Sebastian de Castell's Play of Shadows. I've been waiting on this book patiently since I read his Greatcoats novels. There seemed to be a little bit of delay, and he wrote another book in the middle of it before this one came out, Crucible of Chaos, which I have yet to read, even though that came out in December. I'll definitely be reading it before Play of Shadows comes out though, because the Greatcoats are fun reading. They're really fun, adventurous, swashbuckling, really cool, and that makes his book one of my most anticipated of this year. And that's number 8. Number 9 for me is Mark Lawrence's The Lie That Broke the World. Mark Lawrence gave us something a little bit new, a little bit different last year when he released The Book That Wouldn't Burn. It was a little bit off the beaten path for his typical story, but it was interesting, and I look forward to see what happens in the sequels. At the end of the day, one of my big draws for Mark Lawrence is those punchy lines that he includes. Those turns of phrases that really get me. So this guy could write pretty much any type of story, and I'll enjoy it. Number 10 for me will be Vaishnavi Patel's Goddess of the River. This is going to be, I believe, an all-new standalone for her, but like her first book, Keiki, it's inspired by Hindu mythology. This is almost definitely going to be a buddy read with a wife, because she picked Keiki. I read it after her, and I found it pretty good. I wasn't sure what to expect, but I enjoyed it a bit more than I expected to. So it's at a bar that I'm hoping to see Vaishnavi exceed with Goddess of the River. And then last but not least, my last anticipated book for this time period between January and June would be Rebecca Roanhorse's The Mirrored Heavens. Now, Favorite Star left us on a fairly big cliffhanger, and this entire series so far has been exciting and really engaging. So to say I'm hyped for this book is an understatement, and that was even before we got this crazy, ridiculously awesome looking cover art released. So this is probably a book I'm going to take a day off of work for, to go and start reading immediately as soon as I get it. But yeah, that's my pick for anticipated fantasy releases coming out between January and June. As mentioned, I'll be releasing another video later on in the year covering my anticipated releases for books coming out from July to December. And if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.